So, this is a retro review here since the Deadpool and Wolverine movie is out right now. I would have loved to also discuss X-Men Origins Wolverine, but I guess resale on that is like $300 to get a copy of Deadpool and Wolverine now to get a copy of that. But yeah, this Deadpool game, let us know about it, Sage.
Yeah. So this came out in is it 2013. It was developed by High Moon Studios, which some people might recognize as having done a couple of the bigger Transformers games just before that. Um, this is a game that it's actually been delisted two times. It was delisted due to licensing issues, just Marvel characters generally. Not too long after that, and then it had a remaster in 2016, right around when the first movie came out. And since then, this has been delisted a second time. So this also might be something that's a little pricey to get a hold of a copy of nowadays. But this it's an interesting one. It's also kind of like the last game that came out Activision used to publish a lot of Marvel stuff, the X-Men Legends, the X-Men Origins Wolverine game, Marvel Ultimate Alliance. They're in a Punisher game, a Hulk game, a whole bunch of stuff. And this was kind of I think the last thing that they really put out before. For a while, there just were no Marvel games. Pretty much between this and the 2018 Spider-Man, there was like nothing in between those two. Um, but yeah, this is an interesting one. You're here for the personality of the character. To get into the gameplay first, it's pretty uninspired, honestly. It's a typical kind of third person action game, kind of picking up off of stuff like God of War, Devil May Cry, Bayonetta. But it's not doing it in any way that's like particularly interesting or different or innovative, really. It's just kind of like, yeah, we're just doing like something serviceable. You've got an upgrade tree that's all right. It never really changes the way that you're engaging with the game. A couple different weapons. It's all really simple stuff. Really, the vast majority of the personality here, you're here for the character, for the kind of show of Deadpool. And now, I mentioned kind of what we were talking about the movie earlier. I do feel like the zaniness of Deadpool is always toned down a bit in the movies. Here, it's like full display. This is the Psycho Bugs Bunny Looney Tunes version of the character, where like if somebody tries to give him exposition for too long, he blows his own head off so he doesn't have to listen to him. He's basically three characters at once in this game because you've got two different voices in his head, constantly bickering and giving different conflicting advice. All three of the voices are being done by Nolan North. And the game itself starts with Deadpool bombing the High Moon game studio to threaten them into making a video game about him, then getting the script in the mail, drawing in crayon all over it because he can't read, and then calling Nolan North on the phone to threaten him into doing the voice of the character. So like the meta of it is it is going as far as you could take it pretty much. And then half the game he doesn't know what's going on because he didn't read the script. But here I think you actually get stuff like Deadpool and Cable playing off of each other in a more significant way than say you got in the Deadpool 2 movie. You get his dynamic with Cable, a bit with Wolverine, characters like Rogue and Psylocke a little bit. And then one of my favorite elements of Deadpool that's definitely not translated, and I don't think we'll ever see translated to the movies, honestly, is his weird kind of like will they won't they romance with the Death character in Marvel Comics, like the same kind of primordial death figure that Thanos worships. Which to me has always been a really funny part of the comics because it's kind of a weird love triangle, and I don't think there's a character that Thanos hates more than Deadpool. Um, I will say some of the humor here can feel a little outdated at times. Like there's just some jokes about like dubstep at one point where I'm like, that dates this to like 2013 really hard. But for the most part, I think it keys into the comic book Deadpool humor really well. Um, yeah, I would say this is the kind of thing where like if you have no real attachment to Deadpool the character, this probably isn't going to do anything for you. The gameplay is not going to make up for any shortcomings in the narrative department, right? Um, But if you're a fan of Deadpool at all, even tangentially, I think this does nail. It feels like the comic book character like exactly walked out of the book onto the screen for the game. So it's something where it's not going to change anybody's mind about this character. But if you are already a fan, I think it's kind of a perfect little experience for that.
Okay. And how would you describe the humor of Deadpool? Um,
I mean, I really do think it's almost closer to like an R-rated Looney Tunes skit. That is kind of primarily how I've always seen it. He does things like the like the Wile E. Coyote trying to catch the Roadrunner and playing with physics and kind of spatial awareness. I mean, a lot of Deadpool's character comes out of, and his kind of zaniness comes out of knowing that he's not real, kind of the sense that he is a fictional character that he has. And so that's definitely on full display here, right? So like you get him referencing the player and being controlled. He talks about running out of the budget for the game, and the game will even go into like kind of an old school like old Nintendo aesthetic for certain parts of the game because he's blowing through the studio's budget on like too many explosions. Weird kind of transitions into different sequences that play with like art style and that kind of thing. Yeah, like kind of comic book R-rated comic book Looney Tunes is kind of how I'd put it.
okay. Nolan North, he does the voice for Deadpool in this game. Wade Wilson. How do you like Nolan North as the voice for Deadpool?
I think he's great here. You even get a little bit of Deadpool on the phone with Nolan North, and then making fun of Nolan North, the actor, which is fun. I think he nails it. It's funny listening to Ryan Reynolds play the character. The voice is actually not that different. Like
Let's
it really isn't super different. Like you can tell it's not the same person, but
let's see. So this is different times his voice. Let's
I shot you. Logan, we missed you. That Weapon X just hasn't been the same without you. Nobody calls me Bub anymore. And Omega Red, the bedwetter.
so it's kind of like that's kind of what he's doing through most of that's kind of how he sounds.
I'd say it's similar. But the thing with the game is because you're playing from Deadpool's perspective, you are also constantly hearing voices in his head argue with each other. So there's also in the game another two kind of different voices that Nolan North is doing, and all three of them are constantly kind of bickering and arguing.
This some of it right here. A little bit right here.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty constant throughout the whole game, honestly.
Explosive personality wins the day. Ooh, Spider-Man. But does Spider-Man have a sweet-ass supercharged healing factor? No. But me, some jackass gets lucky and tags me with a stray bullet. Whatever. Freaky cellular regeneration for the win, bitches. Yeah.
Yeah, with this game. So does it blend the comic book humor with also like video game stuff? I know, like, do you remember that game
Yes.
that came out? What was that game that was like the fake ass Duke Nukem thing? With Will
Oh,
Arnett. Uh,
I'm actually not sure if I know what you're referencing there.
it was like a parody. What was it called? Let me bring it up just really quick. He did the voice of a video game. It was Will Arnett. It was like kind of parody of one. Ah, jeez, I'm trying to look at it right now. Uh,
Yeah, I honestly can't recall Will Arnett being a bit like a video game or like that character in a video game, honestly.
dang. Oh, it was Matt Hazard. Was that Matt Hazard? Was that him?
Oh, I think I've seen like the poster for that before, but I honestly didn't really know anything about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but it was kind of like they were doing stuff from like video game, kind of making a parody out of it. Like when you go on to Mass Effect, like they have the long like scenes where you're in the elevator to low. They do that stuff. Can they do they do similar stuff like that in Deadpool video game?
Yeah, they do play around with some of the like video game conventions, and he'll complain if you're losing too much health, right? He'll give the player shit a little bit over how good you're actually playing the game. They'll mess with conventions. I mean, they talked like one of the opening levels, like a sewer level, which at least used to be like way too common in a lot of video games, especially in like the early 2000s. It's like every single game had a generic sewer level in it. So they play with tropes and conventions of video games. I mean, and Deadpool has a history of doing that even outside of this game. I mean, he was a playable character in like Marvel Ultimate Alliance, and he would make a bunch of comments during the game, kind of weird fourth wall break references, that very video game related ones as well.
How's the action? How's the comedy? You said just kind of a basic third person shooter there.
Yeah, I'd say it's serviceable. I'd say it's like you have gunplay, and then you also have like four different melee weapons, just katana being the primary ones. So you get a mix of kind of long range and close up melee stuff. It's serviceable. I'm not gonna say that it's bad, but if it didn't have the humor and the Deadpool character, like if you put some original IP to this gameplay, I don't think anybody would really care or be that interested in it. It's serviceable enough, but it really it doesn't make a mark very much in and of itself, at least.
So, what will be your rating for Deadpool video game here?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a tune in personally. I think it's a lot of fun. I like this character. I've had for a long time. So I think you go in with that attachment to it. It's gonna work for you. I think any Deadpool fan out there, I think this would work for on that level. I think the gameplay is basic enough though that say if you were just looking, you say you're not a big Deadpool fan, you're just looking for a really good action game, you might pass this one over. So tune in for me, but I could see maybe for people that are not necessarily big fans, maybe something more just like a stream it. Unfortunately, the game being delisted makes it very hard to get a hold of. I haven't really checked the pricing on like secondhand copies of this, but like the only way that you'd be able to play it would be to go look up a copy on eBay or something.
Let's see. Pre-owned GameStop looks like here it's in stock online. Get for $30.
Oh, okay, that's not bad at all. Not at least compared to like the X-Men Origins Wolverine game being like $100. Yeah, that's a
Uh,
lot more affordable.
yeah. It's a lot more affordable there. So you can get that, yeah, on PlayStation 3 right here, $30.
Okay, cool.
You can get
I did do a little research because I played on the PS3 version. It's just what I had. I bought it when it came out. But they did do that remaster for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and I've actually heard that version of the game, it's possible it got patched, but at least on release, that remaster actually ran worse than the original PS3 version. So at least from my understanding, if you do want to pick up a copy of this and play it, I would go for the PS3 or 360 iteration of the game.
so tune in for Deadpool the video game. I'm gonna get a Wolverine game pretty soon. Wolverine 2026, I think it was 2027.
Yeah, it should be 2026, and then I want to say the Venom game is going to be 2025.
Venom, good old Venom. All right.
Worry about getting that Venom in 'em.